Hello, and welcome to the Lucy Liu Show, the fueling station for your mind, business, and life. And now, here's your host, Lucy Liu.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Lucy Liu Show. This is Lucy, and as always, rooting for your success in the work that you do and the beautiful life that you live. Today on the show, my guest is Tara Mullarkey. She is the founder of High Ticket Empress, author of best-selling book 7-Figure Coach, podcast host of the 7-Figure Coach podcast. Tara has been featured in Forbes, Yahoo, ABC, NBC, Fox, you name it. And she went from being raised by a single mother, quitting corporate, to building a 7-figure enterprise online. This episode is especially for you if you are a service-based entrepreneur who would like to raise your prices and charge higher ticket. So without further ado, here's Tara. Welcome to the show, Tara.
Thank you so much, Lucy.
You are the empress of high ticket sales. So how much to charge would you consider high ticket sales?
Yeah. So we have a online course world now, right? Where you have a do-it-yourself option, and those are usually below $2,000. So anything above $2,000 is considered high ticket.
So that would be the do-it-yourself version. How about done for you?
Well, do-it-yourself is below $2,000. So when you see the courses like $197, $497, $997, or even up to $1997 is usually where we see that, where people will just buy a course by giving their credit card, right, on a website. And so above $2,000 is usually where there's high ticket sales. It usually involves having like a personalized conversation, either over DM or on a phone or Zoom chat. And then done for you, for your question, because usually high ticket is a done with you situation where there's like coaching and it's in a group, and done for you, like a service that's done for you is usually like high ticket, like much higher.
So how much do you see your clients charge for done with you programs then?
Yeah. So I usually recommend, like in my program, I teach them how to start. Minimum is, if they're just beginning, $2,500 per client, but usually they start $3,000, $3,500, and then up to $5,000.
What niches can you best sell high ticket?
That's a great question, because it really does matter as it relates to the result that you provide, right? And that's really why someone will pay a higher price, is because you're offering something that will solve a bigger problem in their life, right? It's not something that they feel like, oh, it doesn't matter if it changes. This is something that they really need to have change. It keeps them up at night. They're really stressed about it. So it's usually in the 3 main core human concerns, which is usually around money and career, love and relationships, or health and wellness.
So with business related niches, it's easy to see the ROI in that, right? If you spend $3,000, but if you make 6 figures, it's a no-brainer decision. How about personal transformation? Because it's not as easy to see those returns on their investment.
Yeah. So there needs to be, and I actually go over this at length in my book. So there needs to be a tangible, quantifiable outcome that the person is buying. So if you're someone who facilitates like inner transformation, personal transformation, and like how big of a deal and how transformative that could be, but it's really the inner work that you feel so passionate about, we actually have to tie that to an outer, tangible, quantifiable result. And that's really where your buyer is going to understand the value of exchanging that dollar amount for what they want and for what you do. So it usually is around like healing disease or like weight loss. It usually is around like saving a marriage or like finding a partner in the realms outside of money.
Okay. Can you give us some other examples of these tangible results that you've seen with your clients?
Yeah. So it really is like chronic pain. So anything that is like literally causing someone like that they can't sleep, or causing them actual physical pain, where they could quantify if that pain was reduced. Right? You know how like in happiness, for example, happiness is sort of elusive. And so we of course want people to be happier, and we might be able to help them be happier by certain things that we can take them through. The problem is that our client isn't going to really be able to measure whether they're happier at the end. It's hard to quantify. So it's something that you are going to, it doesn't mean that you're not going to do that. Let me make that point, right? Like, it doesn't mean that you're not going to help them become happier or like love themselves more, right? The journey to finding, like, say, a partner, for example, is likely an inner journey, so your program, the fulfillment of it is going to be inner work. The thing that someone buys, though, is the outer tangible quantifiable thing. So healing disease, like actually taking down pain levels, or weight loss, or sometimes weight gain for someone who has an issue with that. Being in a relationship, or, getting married, or saving a marriage that is headed for divorce, right? These are like big deals in someone's life that keeps them really stressed and up at night.
Right. So for someone who you mentioned earlier who's doing a happier life, what would you suggest that tangible result to be?
Yeah, so they would need to actually carve their way to a tangible result. And I can't give that answer to anyone. They're going to have to kind of do some inner work for themselves to see, like, what would it be that is the thing that I can most help someone with in this main core human concern. We know people don't buy happiness coaching. It just, like, anyone who is trying to sell that, they have a very hard time with it, because this is the main reason why a consumer doesn't believe that you can provide that.
How should you position yourself so that you can charge high ticket?
Well, it goes to what we've just been talking about. So you actually can solve a major problem for someone and you can quantify it. You also have a very specific market or who that you're targeting. And so, like, for example, a relationship coach, she doesn't want to target all women who want to be in a relationship. She actually wants to niche down a little bit more and work with a certain segment of women. Maybe they're like very independent entrepreneurial women who have this issue, or maybe they're women who got married young and are divorced in their 40s. So the more that she can niche down on the who specifically she is really capable of helping, that's going to make her target audience actually seek her out, or that prospect is going to be drawn to her. And then the final thing is to have an actual, like, a method, a tangible method, in fact. So sometimes when clients come to us, they're saying something like, I help, this person get into a relationship, by learning how to love themselves more. And someone doesn't really believe that, right? Because they're like, I can just go to YouTube and learn that. So what would be the specific pathway that you would take someone through that is different than what other people do? So another dating coach might say, I'm going to teach you how to use dating apps all the time. That's one method, but maybe your method is different than that. So how can you differentiate yourself in the way in which you help the person get the result?
Thank you. So say you were starting your business all over again. What would you do to restart your $1 million business all over again?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was just speaking with my mastermind women in our group today about this. And, like anyone, there were stops and starts, and there's been waves and times that I've thought I wanted to quit and then seen through those challenges. And I'm so glad I did. But it's kind of like, it's what I teach now, Lucy. It really is like, I wish I had started charging high ticket earlier. And I wish I had not doubted myself so much in the beginning. Every time I heard no, I hear this from our clients a lot too, right? Like, it's natural that you hear no, someone saying, oh, no, that's too expensive. No, that's too expensive. And you start to doubt whether people will pay or whether it's valuable. And I just wish that I had removed those doubts and really just gone for it, without doubting myself.
Yeah. So you talked about how much you used to charge. Are you open to sharing how much you used to charge versus now?
Oh my gosh. So when I first started, my first online course was $197. And I got 4 women in that online course. So
that's actually not too bad, right? Because a lot of people start with $7 courses.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's true. Thank you. I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's like, because that's 2, 4, 6, 8, less than $800. And like, how could I even survive on that? Plus the launch model was what I was thinking to do then, where you go out to everyone and try to get as many people in as possible. And then if you don't get as many people as you want, then what are you supposed to do the next month? Like, you're just going to go out to the same people again and ask them to join again. Like, it was just embarrassing. And so that was my first course. And now, we have programs that go from 10,000 to 40,000.
You talked about launches, and I know in your programs, you're all for rolling enrollments. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, this also was a big change for me when I came across it, because I didn't even know that it existed, this way of doing it. So the launch model is the idea that you're going to come up with this course, you're going to create the whole thing, and then you're going to go to market for like a 10-day period, right? So say you pick a date sometime in the spring and you say, okay, on April 10th, we're going to launch. And for 10 days, we're going to send out emails and we're going to blast social media and we're going to get as many people into the course as possible. And you have a goal maybe of 20 or 200, who knows, depending on your audience. And then once that launch period is done, then it's done, right? You've closed the doors, so they say. And then, so whatever you've made is whatever, you have to be happy with it. And maybe you are happy with it. But if you're not, and like most coaches out there, right, you don't have a big enough audience to actually get the people that you want inside. And without paid advertising, obviously it's very, very, very difficult to get the algorithm to work in your favor. And so it's too unpredictable for me. And so in contrast, rolling enrollment is this idea that you structure a program where people can enroll and roll into the program at any time. And some people really have a hard time with this because they think, oh, everyone going through my program needs to go through at the same exact time, right? They need to all be doing week 1 together and week 4 together and week 8 together. But what we found to be true, is actually inaccurate, and people don't need to go through it together. In fact, what we found is that most people thrive in an environment where there's people ahead of them and people behind them. And they all get to be in there together, hearing each other's stories and challenges and wins, etc. So that's what we do. The other reason, just finally, I'll say, Lucy, that rolling enrollment from a business perspective is just a smarter thing to do, is that it's almost impossible to scale a launch model. It requires too much of you, and it's so dependent on those 10 days. And so if you want to scale to say 6 figures a month or multiple 6 figures a month where we are, then you're going to need to have structures in place that allow you to come out of the business or at least replace you with other people. And in that way, you also need to have a rolling enrollment model because it's very difficult to do it in just a short time frame over 10 days.
Thank you. So throughout your days in and out of your business, is there a favorite quote that you go by?
Yes. Well, I'm Christian. And so the Bible really forms the way that I move through the world. So my favorite quote, it's from scripture, Luke 6, which is the way you give to others is the way God will give to you.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Where can our audience find you if they're interested in selling high ticket?
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, I do have a book that just came out last year, and it's called 7-Figure Coach. So that's on Amazon, and highticketempress.com is also a free training that I have that actually walks you through how to sell high ticket. So that would be a great place to start.
Thank you.
Welcome.
To all the beautiful souls listening, thank you for joining me on this episode of The Lucy Liu Show. When I'm not podcasting, I am coaching high-achieving women in life transitions, getting unstuck, kissing overwhelm goodbye, and living a more joyful and fulfilled life through strategic goal setting and mindset transformation. It would mean the world to me if you subscribe, rate, or share this with a friend. And don't forget to join me for the next episode. Remember, there is always a way and more blessings are coming your way. For free resources and show notes, head over to lucylucoaching.com.